it's going to be a longer trial. He's facing more serious charges there. We could see a lot more information about what he did abroad come to light. It's possible that he could get a plea deal before the trial starts and avoid a trial that way. Some legal experts we've talked to have said that that would be in his best interest because a trial, there's a mountain of evidence against him. It's pretty cut and dry. The DOJ, wins the majority of cases that they take to trial, so the odds are not in his favor.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by Justice Department reporter Ashley Oliver. So Ashley, there's been a big clash between the state of Arizona and the Biden Justice Department. Sort of sets the stage for maybe some other election integrity litigation that might happen as we head into the 2024 elections. Talk a little bit about what's at stake.
Yeah, Jim. So the Biden Justice Department joined Arizona Democrats, the DNC. There's some Hispanic groups in Arizona as well that were pushing to avoid forcing voters to provide a document that they are a citizen. There's forms that Arizona uses. There's a state form and a federal form where you have to check off, sign under penalty of perjury that you're a citizen. But the RNC and Republicans in Arizona were pushing to require an actual document to back up that signature that you are a citizen. The Supreme Court ruled on that. It was a huge decision for them, and there's a lot at stake in Arizona. Obviously, it's a border state, so migration is a huge concern there. Non-citizens voting is a huge concern there. The Supreme Court partially ruled in Republicans' favor, basically saying if you register to vote, you need to provide a document that you're a citizen. But if you're applying for a mail-in ballot or only using a federal form to vote in the federal aspect of the elections, you don't need to provide that document. So that doesn't mean that non-citizens can vote, but that lack of check there is something that Republicans, that's a loss for them. But they did get that partial victory with the registration to vote. So that's just one state and one major battle that was at play in Arizona. But the Biden Justice Department has been very active in election litigation this year, and actually since Biden took office, really far more active than Trump ever was. They've pursued more than double or around double the cases that the Trump administration did. And a lot of times they're looking to, you'll see a pattern of trying to expand access to voters, making voting easy. And Republicans say that, threatens election integrity. It threatens the fairness of elections. There are ways that, in Alabama, the DOJ has been pushing to allow people to submit absentee ballots who they're not their ballot. It's basically saying like handicapped people or people who can't read need someone else to submit their absentee ballot. Republicans are fighting down in Alabama saying that opens the door for like corrupt voting in elections. So you see these fights playing out in various states, red states, blue states. There's really no discriminating there. You've seen litigation from Rhode Island to Arizona to a red state like Alabama. So that's something to watch for in the coming 75 days that we have left of the election. It's probably going to heat up and be a lot of like high profile fights over that.
So President Joe Biden is no longer running for re-election, but his son Hunter Biden is still somewhat the hunted Biden. What's the latest on his legal saga?
Yeah, Hunter the Hunted. Yeah,
Hunter
so he is still, his legal problems are still somewhat in the headlines, even though Joe Biden's relevance has faded quite a bit. The problem with Hunter Biden is that he, has this very salacious background, a lot of stuff that's very headline worthy, the crack cocaine addiction that he had, the foreign business dealings that he participated in. We saw his gun trial that was, extremely salacious, and that made a lot of headlines at the time. This looming tax trial set for September 9th would be probably the tax trial like on steroids, basically, because
but not
it's
crack.
Not crack.
Yeah.
It will not be. It could be. You could say it's the tax trial or the gun trial on crack is going to be what the tax trial is, basically. No puns intended there. But it's going to be a longer trial. He's facing more serious charges there. We could see a lot more information about what he did abroad come to light. It's possible that he could get a plea deal before the trial starts and avoid a trial that way. Some legal experts we've talked to have said that that would be in his best interest because a trial, there's a mountain of evidence against him. It's pretty cut and dry. The DOJ, wins the majority of cases that they take to trial, so the odds are not in his favor. So he could just avoid that entire mess by pleading guilty, but there's no way he's going to get as friendly of a plea deal as he did last year when we saw that kind of high-profile unraveling of the initial plea deal that was really mild compared to what he's probably being offered at this point now from the DOJ.
Which kind of bundled the two cases in some respects.
Yeah. He was facing charges of one gun felony that he could avoid, and then two tax misdemeanors that he would have to plead guilty to, and that's extremely mild compared to what came down the pipe after that, where he was hit with 3 gun felonies, which we know he was convicted for. And then he has these 9 charges now in California, which is there's 3 felonies there, 6 misdemeanors. He's facing serious jail time if he does get convicted. So even if he does reach a plea deal, he still may have to agree to some kind of jail time as well, unless Joe Biden pardons him, and that's an open question.
So if he does go to trial, or if he does arrive even at a plea deal that could conceivably involve some jail time, would his legal situation likely be resolved by the time of the election?
Yeah, so the trial would take probably weeks. It's hard to say. I don't know what the estimated amount of it's going to be. It's definitely going to be longer than the tax trial, which was about a week. I don't expect it to go beyond the election. I don't think it's going to be more than like a 6-week trial. It should be a lot less than that, actually. So if he does go to trial, it's highly possible that it will be resolved before the election. If he reaches a plea agreement, that would happen before September 9th, which is like the hard start date for the trial.
Thank you, Ashley. You can read Ashley and the rest of our investigations team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.